When Celeste was nominated for Game of the Year amongst other blockbusters such as Red Dead Redemption 2 and God of War, like thousands of others, I was surprised for sure. How did this indie game, made by an incredibly small team, take it to the big guys to be in consideration for Best Game of the Year? While it didn't win the award, spoiler alert, this nomination gave me the chance to look back upon the year that was and consider just how much Celeste truly is my Game of the Year. Let's take a step back. Before going too much further with this, just let me quickly clarify. Out of the 6 games nominated for Game of the Year, I've only played 3 to completion, those being Celeste, God of War, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So for that reason, I'll only compare the 3. It wouldn't be too fair to the others to compare them to those. The concept for Celeste sounds simple enough. Climb the mountain. Of course, there are some mishaps along the way. Spikes, giant drops, poison stuff, angry ghost, evil twin thing, and the overwhelming weight of self-esteem and the struggle to continue when all hope just seems to be lost. Now I know what you're thinking, that's just standard narrative structure, right? Start a journey, lose some friends, make some new ones, overcome bad things, win at the end. Red Dead was a redemption story, quite literally, and God of War pretty much had the same story as Celeste. Climb the mountain to win the game. So what made Celeste so special? I played the game back at the beginning of the year and felt instantly captivated and connected to it. The gameplay sparked a strong sense of nostalgia, the 32-bit graphics, the Nintendo hard gameplay, the soundtrack. The game sent me back to my childhood, a childhood where me and my sister would hook up the Super Nintendo to play All Stars and wonder just what were these lost levels and why were they so hard. It took me back to a childhood where, as 6-year-old me thought that in Super Mario World he was the only one that knew the secret exit in Cheese Bridge by sacrificing Yoshi to jump under the endgame. All these emotions stirred in me and I was just instantly captivated. The game gives you a sense of accomplishment. Getting stuck on a particular screen and grinding it out until you finally beat it was as rewarding as any other game experience this year. The death counter was something to be proud of. Rather than count how many times you failed, it counted how many times you kept going and kept trying to beat the level. I felt like a professional gamer after some of the complex puzzles, hitting incredible dashes through weaving paths with no time to stop and consider what your next move is. I actually considered speedrunning the game after I completed it. That's just how good the game makes you feel about your skill. Of course, watching the current world record sets that idea aside for now, but during the moment it felt incredible. No other game allowed me to feel that I was actually beating a game. In God of War and Red Dead Redemption 2, I was simply guiding a character through their story arcs. Here I was Madeline, and I was beating the game with her. We beat this thing together. And then I moved on. Games don't have the gripping power to me that they once did. Life comes along and sweeps me away and I have to drop what I'm doing. It's just how it goes. I still haven't finished Breath of the Wild or Super Mario Odyssey, and they were my favourite games of last year. Life dealt me an interesting hand this year. I went from the lowest of lows. I lost my job at the beginning of the year. I spent a few months unemployed with no income, no way to pay bills. Bad things were happening. I did manage to find employment. I had 2 separate jobs and currently working 60 plus hours a week just to get back on track. All to come to the end of the year with the highest of highs, my wedding a couple of months ago where I married my best friend. I think Celeste helped me do that. I climbed the metaphorical mountain, and while there were some mishaps, the overwhelming weight of self-esteem and the struggle to continue when all hope was lost. Sound familiar? I pushed through and I made it to the top, and Celeste taught me to do that. My Switch tells me I've played Celeste for 25 or so hours. I spent that time in performing incredible tricks and jumps to guide Madeline and myself to the top of the mountain. We pushed past adversity and came out on top. I spent the rest of the year using what I learnt from the game to guide myself through my hardships and get myself to the top of the mountain, so to speak. Because even after the game ended, it was still as fresh in my mind as when I played the very first level. Throughout this whole year, and I'm certain for years to come, Celeste will continue to be one of my favourite games of this year, and maybe of all time.